summit. Okay. The summit in London. Anyone knows? That's a random question before we recorded. Before we recorded. But I suppose okay, we can discuss this later. Yeah, too late. Let me just log in and check that. If I can change it.
Well, Dean and Yuli said already that she's again a little busy by time.
And we have
David.
Today. Hey guys.
Hey David.
Hey. How are we doing?
Good.
Sorry, I'm late. Is there a penalty for being late? Do I need to do 3 minutes of press ups or?
Yes.
I'd appreciate the exercise at this stage.
We're waiting, David.
Yeah, I'll just turn my camera off for it if that's okay.
Okay.
Waiting 1 more minute for Juliane.
Just text them again.
Is Dean joining?
Just texting him. Normally, yes. Just was texting with him before. He's in a walk call right now. And should be done in a few minutes, he says.
Okay. How is everybody? What did you have? What did you have for? What did you have? What did you have for lunch? That's my question.
Chicken and fries.
I had a veggie burger with vegetables and pasta.
It's nice.
I had a coffee.
On caffeine and water.
Yeah, coffee. I'm not fasting, but yeah, but coffee with us.
I had corn on the cob. It was great. Fresh corn on the cob.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't have lunch yet because it's only 10 a.m. here, but I had a keto shake because I'm now in doing a ketogenic diet for breakfast.
Only for breakfast?
I'm like, lunch is not. My lunch is only in 2 hours. I haven't had a chance to eat lunch yet.
Okay, so keto and fasting together.
Just keto.
Just.
I mean, it feels like fasting, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's start. It's 2:05. Yeah, for me at least. So welcome everyone. This is the Catalyst Circle meeting number 5. Hi everyone on YouTube watching this later as well. Let's just go over the agenda and see if everyone agrees with it. We should modify something before we start. Let me just something here because I think my connection is a little bit unstable. Just 1 second.
Hey everybody, sorry.
Hey.
So for the agenda today, we have these opening announcements and expectations alignments. We are now revising the agenda. Oh, and talking about announcements, we've got Stephen Whitenstall here today with us. He's going to take notes. I think he's in the role of secretary for today, right, Stephen? Okay, good. So we are going to have some updates here regarding the Catalyst Circle actions since last meeting. I think this number here is wrong, so pay attention to it. We are going to cover 6 different topics. There's a new topic that was added by Dor. Then we are going to decide about the next catalyst circle. We have another conversation about catalyst circle. And there's some time to feedback and open dialogue or buffer time if we need it. Any comments on the agenda?
Connection is breaking off a little, Victor. Hard to understand you.
Sorry, guys. Maybe Dor, can you go over this first topic here while I try to restart my connection here?
Okay, first of all, I think that tracking problems and actions. Okay, this is what we created last week. I already imagined we already went through it, but I guess we didn't. So, can someone share with me the link to this document? I'll just try to see if I can find it quickly.
Wait, I just drop it in the chat. That's okay. Thanks, you.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, let me share my screen and oh, I can't host disabled participant screen sharing.
Now you can.
Help, I'm being censored. Okay, thank you.
But
you should call it like the C word. It's like every time somebody is upset, is like immediately. Okay, here we go. Okay, so why are we doing this? It was like me and Victor did it because I think basically like circle members didn't have clarity about the process of like how are we moving about the Trello board, and also there was like an interesting opportunity because to actually define how we move like one element of the Trello board from one column to the other, to actually like make explicit like all the different tools and powers and capabilities the circle has, right? And also talk about it and also expand them. So by making this list explicit, you know, all of you kind of have access to it, and we can also start to like also modify it and evolve it over time. Okay, so take it as not as a directive, but as a first draft of a process that we can constantly iterate on and evolve as we like learn about our own power, okay, of the circle and the types of leverages and things we can do to influence catalyst for the better. So so it all starts with the problem sensing column. Okay, so that happens actually before we even have before even the Trello board goes into action, and we basically most of us did it. Basically, you go back to your group, you know, to the group that elected you, that you represent, and each one, you know, has its own methodology. But you know, we source problems, okay? And the update here is that like when we started the circle, we asked for 2 problems from each group. We discovered it's too much. Like we're not like in terms of capacity, we're not managing to cover like I think it's like 18, something like somewhere between 16 to 20 different problems, like in parallel. Like we just don't have the capacity to do that. So now we're a bit more realistically saying, let's just like pick one problem per group, so we can just like just accommodate for our capabilities. And if over time like future circles are like, we can take on more, then great. But right now I think that's like a more reasonable ask. So Victor is, we talked about methodologies, and we want to document and share these methodologies with future circles. So Victor had his mirror board for brainstorming and problem sensing, and they ranked voting, and we actually invite other people to share what they did with their group. So so like future circle members can like kind of like pick from a menu of options, don't have to reinvent the wheel every time that we're doing this process. Then you have the problem has been identified, you create a ticket, you assign yourself as the problem owner for that problem. And then once and then the ticket, you move it to the problem backlog column on the Trello. Okay, so far so good. Next step, we have the problem backlog itself. This is the problem. The problem owner, right, needs to write out the problem in a structured form and consult with one more member of the circle for feedback, just to help them crystallize if it's understandable for other people, besides them. Okay, so just to make it a bit more clear, the description. You input it into the, okay, we did it twice, right? But like you put it in the problem backlog, you schedule a time in a CC meeting where you present the problem and you ask for circle members to give their feedback about it. Like basically like do they understand the problem? Do they have, do their group have a similar problem, that can, we can modify it a bit. Maybe it's already solved. Maybe there's like a solution you weren't aware of, but there's like this 360 feedback from the other circle members. Then there is another column that we're actually modifying the Trello, of course. From this analysis, we're actually like suggesting to rename some of the columns. So then the next column would be the 360 feedback column, which is the actual 10-minute presentation within the circle to review the problem, the receiving of feedback, modifying the problem statement if needed. And once that it's done, you move it to the next column, which is the well-defined problem area. Okay, well-defined problem. You schedule a time to present the problem, this time to the town hall, okay, to the community at large. Doesn't have to be just the town hall. It could be, you can write a blog post about it. You can, we can talk about all the methodologies we can use to amplify the message, okay, amplify the problem, broadcast it. But let's start with town hall. Then you define not the solution, but the strategy of how we're solving this with the circle. So, and here there's like a few potential strategies. Okay, one strategy is, the presentation in the, presenting and broadcasting it to the community just to provoke attention. Another one could be writing a challenge. Okay, like endorsing a challenge, like the circle endorse challenge that addresses this problem. It could be, maybe there's like a relevant challenge already in place, and then we can endorse a proposal, specific proposal to address the challenge. I would say another way would be, we actually look at current proposals, that are already running already by the community, and then we just like can like boost them, right? Like we can endorse them, or we can offer them more help, partner with them to help them drive their proposal. And also facilitating problem solving sessions. So for example, have a dedicated after town hall session, a dedicated swarm session on Saturdays, or whatever other facilitation opportunities we find. Okay, then once that the strategy that we're suggesting is defined, you know, one or more of these, we basically present it to the community, okay, like, and once that's done, then that goes to the shared with community section, part of the board. Okay, then we have, so first of all, everything clear so far? Okay.
Yep.
So then, you know, then it's like, once that's done, you know, this moves to the shared with community. And then the role of the problem owner shifts a bit. And now it's not about defining and presenting the problem. Now it's about tracking what are the outcomes of our strategy, right? So whether there's like a challenge team that is like preparing a challenge, or whether there's like 5 proposals that are concurrently solving it, or even if nothing is getting done, you know, like track that. So how is it being tracked? Actually, Victor, what was our decision about how are we tracking it? It kind of involves like opening new tickets, no? I'm not sure.
Yes, because at the end, we are going to decide if this new idea is going to be incorporated or not. And at some point, we need to change from a problem statement to a proposed solution. So once it's like after it's shared with the community, for example, after being picked up, then we have solutions instead of problems. So the solutions are there, and the problems are, sorry, the problems just sit there, and the solutions move on until the end.
Okay, so you know, something like a ticket that starts with like the problem and then like or a tag or something in the ticket. I don't know what's the appropriate Trello feature for it. Like maybe there's like a tag that with the problem, and then like there's like, let's say 5 solutions to it. So you know, they're all represented as separate items, tickets in the Trello board with the right tag, and then this can be moved separately. So, you know, and again, so once it's getting picked up, right? It could be picked up by the community or directly picked up by a member of the circle. You know, we create a ticket and move it to the picked up section. Once it's in the picked up section, yeah, again, so a bit of repetitiveness. We said create a ticket for each solution and assign ID number to solution. Fine, you know, like what we said before. And then once someone actually prototyped the solution, okay, we moved from talking, planning to an initial proof of concept. Then it gets to, then the ticket is moved to the prototyping section by the problem owner. Then once that proof of concept has actually tangible results, tangible outcomes, we move it, the problem moves it to the validation section. And the validation section is basically the original problem owner again is like actually does a review of the outcomes. Okay, he can do it himself or he can do it in collaboration with those who prototyped, and comes back to the circle and, you know, briefs us about how things are going, and then like what was the outcome, and then basically it's basically up to the circles to decide if like basically was the problem solved, was the problem solved sufficiently that we can just like move it off the board because it's been addressed? Do we have any, or maybe it's not sufficient and we have follow-up recommendations to give the teams that are doing the pilot? So, either we learn, either we said like, okay, we tried something, it didn't work, what we learned, or we say, awesome, let's incorporate it into let's integrate it into the main catalyst process. Then, whatever the outcomes, we present that to the community, and then we track whether we actually integrated the solution. So like, the example would be like, a solution is like a new incentive model for CA. It's like, are we actually, did the IOG did its part and integrate it? Did the CAs did their part and integrate it, etc. So we track it was actually successfully integrated, and that moves it to the integrated section. Or if a solution was rejected, then either we take the ticket back to the prototyping phase and do another round of experiments, or we put it in a kind of like a lessons learned column where we try to capture, okay, what we learned, so for future generations of catalysts to not do that, to learn from it as much as possible and not lose that valuable knowledge. Okay, so and then in the end, like when we're both integrated and canceled, like the integrated and lessons learned, it's our duty to initiate the new catalyst members about what happened, like that, these were the problems, these were the solutions, this is what worked, this is what not worked. So they have, so that knowledge is transferred to the next generation. And then there's like, that's like a wrong, like that's a trigger word. We should probably rename it. We call it the Great Reset. I mean, I would call it like, maybe I'm gonna rename it now, like call it Circle Reset. Okay, so and the idea is that we, rather than like having the new circle members have to deal with all the clutter and attempts and like stuff from the other circle, and it creates just like a lot of cognitive overload. We just like basically reset the Trello board at this point, okay? And people and the new circle members get to decide whether they want to continue to work on the problem, like have another round of like figuring out the problems, or they just want to like put it aside and choose a completely different one. Go back to the team, go back to the community, see if it's still in priority, have a reset opportunity. And and if a problem end up being abandoned, that's also a bit of a trigger word, but like it was decided not to be persisting. We archive it, but the important thing is we give a fresh Trello to the new circle so they can have a fresh start. Yeah, and thanks a lot for I think thanks a lot for Victor for our work together and really crystallizing it. We did this entire thing in half an hour. It's pretty crazy. So of course there's lots of feedback we're looking for.
Yeah, and I think we were supposed to apply this today, but I'm not sure if we will have enough time to really digest everything. But at least for the next meeting, it would be good if we could like revise this document and make some comments maybe. Not sure if we are going to have enough time now during the meeting. But yeah, it's good because it's recorded, at least more people can see the explanation later.
Yeah, that definitely helps. But yeah, I would also, to give it the importance of the review, I would want to have a look at it and to really give the appreciation to that review and the work you did there.
So yeah, this is going to be a really quick update about the new CA and VCA reward model. So what happened is that we presented, Dor, Chris, and I think 2 weeks ago now, and we received some feedback already from the community, but we didn't have enough time to adjust the model for Fund 6 at least. But I'm keeping track of these comments, and I'm going to gather everything and share with IOG to see if there is something that needs to be changed for Fund 7. But generally, the feedback was really good. The CAs think that it makes sense and it will help the quality of the assessments to improve now in Fund 6. And regarding the Trello board, this problem is here in prototyping. So I think it should stay here because according to this user journey, we should change it to validation after we have some results. So we are still testing it. DCAs are assessing now in Fund 6. Then after the DCAs use this reward system to categorize the assessments as good, excellent, or filtered out, then we are going to have some results to analyze. So for this time, nothing changes here in the Trello board regarding this problem statement specifically. Any comments on that? Nope, all good. Then next one is me and Felix, the CA outreach and onboarding campaign.
This is, I think, definitely something where we could take a certain focus on, because I think it shows really good use case where Catalyst Circle can become really effective. Because it has been in the last Catalyst Circle meeting when Dor mentioned we have the risk of not having enough CAs for Fund 6. And we said, okay, let's start a onboarding, outreach onboarding introduction campaign. And I think it was the first time where really several parts in the community worked together to create a pipeline. So IOG did the outreach, announced, oh, okay, CAs are needed with the help as well from the community, like Ken Adams who produced the video. Then Swarm is providing the platforms in after Town Hall, Eastern Town Hall Swarm session. And school is taking place and onboards them. So Victor took part of the school to organize everything there. I took part for the Swarm to organize everything with Victor. And we had in 1 week, now we have more than 100 signups, new people joining the community as CA. And a lot of people visiting the workshops. So it's not ready yet to present it, I think. Victor, maybe there we should take a certain time just to write everything down, track how many participants we have in the different workshops on the different platforms. And the nice thing is that it tackles several problems. Once the raised problem of not having enough CAs, on the other side, the onboarding issue. So to see already that it functions as outreach onboarding at general, for the CAs can also say that it would even be able to use this pipeline for other important roles in the ecosystem. Because this was a problem fast identified, fast communicated, and the solution was drafted quite fast as well. And everything by the community, mostly. So really beautiful.
Yep. So I think this one was a successful one.
Problem solved.
Yeah, let's see.
We're gonna see if we did. We definitely did I think we did an amazing work. Now the question if it was good enough, like yeah.
I think success, I didn't mention now by saying that, okay, we have enough CAs for Fund 6. The success was mostly to say, okay, to find the very first draft for maybe an effective functional pipeline to get people on a fast and safe way from nowhere to there's your place and everything is provided for you to execute your role as well. and definitely something what can be improved over time, but a nice first draft, I think.
Yeah, maybe we can use the same scheme for example, later on for challenge teams for Fund 7 or for new proposers, also new VCAs in Fund 7, for example.
Yep.
Yeah, Dor?
Yeah, I think, yeah, because of I kind of like echo what you're saying, like because of the cyclical nature of funds. So first of all, if we can reproduce this for like, say like challenge teams, and also like, can we replicate it also for Fund 7? Because Fund 7, there's a good possibility we're going to have double the proposals again, because we're going to have double the funds. So again, so how do we avoid like, like the next circle having to be in emergency mode and figure it out again versus like having an established process that repeats itself and iterates and improves over time. And like, I'm actually like, would love to ask Steven what he thinks.
All right, you and me?
Yes, you.
Yes. I think you're beginning to build a kind of issue management system, moving things through the Trello board, going through that. It needs some, I agree with Felix, you've had a good start in your workflow processes and your pipelines. That could be automated with maybe the new, with some support from secretaries and a facilitated team. So yeah, I regard a bit there, Dor. I was taking notes, but sort of.
Yeah. Okay. Let me phrase the question again, so you can like and just give me your intuitive answer. Okay, so.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so we had an emergency, right? We needed to get more CAs, increase our CA capacity, like how many people are volunteering to be CAs and participating. We figured it out, we created a whole pipeline of actions, and it was, we feel good about it, the solution we find out. But now the question is, in Fund 7, we're going to have the same problem, but somehow we need, and we also might have a new generation of circle members. And how do we retain these methodologies that we developed to reuse them again in Fund 7, or maybe some more iterations, versus like going into emergency mode and having the circle members of the next cohort like have to kind of reinvent the wheel again and figure it out?
But to be honest, I think I don't think you are in a position to scale for Fund 7 in terms of where you are at the moment, because you're handing over. When is that? That's just a few months. I suppose you would have to build an infrastructure and then put that in place, and then hand that over. Then clear, as you said earlier, clear the Trello board. Are you going to reset the Trello board? If the Trello board's reset, then you're handing over something, some sort of gift to Circle version 2. I don't see that. I think you could do it, but I don't think. As I see now, I don't think there's quite enough time for you to do that. That's my view, my intuitive view. Yeah, I'm being honest. So yeah.
Juliane?
Yeah, hi. I think I would just define a baseline for the actions circles might need to consider to execute once they are live. And maybe we also, this list of baseline is going to grow. So setting up a process, defining responsibilities. So this can be a proper responsibility. The question now is it so crucial to the process that IOHK would want to accompany that within their team? And I'm just putting that to discussion, since it's such a high risk task. Or, I mean, it could be partially managed. it could be an ownership of the IOHK, just a proposal, and or facilitated via a group, a service like the Swarm is providing the after town hall meetings. We could also have a group of people that constantly accompany this concept of ensuring this quality onboarding and call to action for CAs coming in every funding round.
So quick reaction. So, we have our, internally, we have our playbook, we have like, we call it like the logistics machine. Okay. We have dedicated people that like track each fund, measure metrics, and there's some announcements we make and some statistics we release to motivate for action, to continue the work. But I see it as a component that can and should be decentralized. Like, so it's like part of like the ongoing process of moving, of decentralizing the process is like, like starting to have starting with like a shared accountability between IOG and the community, and set up the room for maybe that at some point, like IOG doesn't do that at all, like it could be cool.
Yeah, from that perspective, you're definitely right. I mean, we need to start that process anyway, so it's just a good thing to start. How to do it? It must be, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm stepping in 5 minutes. I need to tend my little one.
Okay, so Felix.
Yeah, very short, just, I mean, yes, there will be hopefully new people for Catalyst Circle number 2, but School and Swarm will still be the provided platforms will still be there, and everything what we learn right now will be increased already for Fund 7. And all these tools will be available for the Catalyst Circle. So the networks, the platforms, the streamlines. So we just have to make sure that we are able to communicate to the next Catalyst Circle and say, yeah, okay, look, all the stages, all the know-how, all the people, everything is there already. You can use it.
But yeah, I wonder, like, I just wonder like two things. First of all, if yeah, I really think we should, this is like an IOG thing. I think we should have some kind of a public dashboard of all like engagement statistics so people can identify risks ahead of time. So, and that like it's kind of like part of our sensor array, right? Like that circle has visibility into engagement metrics, but also like, I think having some sort of a, kind of a playbook, right? Kind of like week by week playbook, like maybe a document that says like, okay, these are like, we have the insight stage, we have this stage, we have this stage, we have this stage, and like these are like critical actions that needs to be taken. IOG has it, but does the community has it? Because like I think having some overview document that covers that would give people the ability to like say like 2 weeks in advance, I see this thing is coming up, so I better prepare for it, versus like last minute messages. So, from IOG side, I can start to do my best to release more engagement data. I'm actually actively working on having kind of a public dashboard. So that's like kind of an ongoing, but I think from the community side would be great if there would just be some kind of a public, maybe something I can ask Steven to do, to make like kind of like a tracker of like critical actions that are needed at every step of the fund, taken by the community.
So is that kind of at each stage in the fund, you would want to the community take ownership of a solution at each of those stages. Does that make in mind? So you, as IOG releases this dashboard, you give out some engagement data, and then the community have some sort of, they build in some sort of mythology themselves to respond to that.
Yeah, it's not dependent on the dashboard. They can also do it before the dashboard, but it just basically says like, oh, like week 3 of every fund is CA registration, and in this week, the community produces a video to invite new people, and we publish, and we have an after town hall dedicated session, and we do this and we do that, kind of that's what I mean. And, and that can be the same for VCAs, they assess the assessment time. It could be for, I'm later gonna raise in the meeting like retrospective, that we have a retrospective week. It's a new addition to Fund 6. And I want also the circle to have an active part in it, and the community to have an active part in it, of like, what are we doing together in retrospective week? And over time, there's like a protocol, right? Of like, who does what when to get the best outcomes at every stage.
Okay, and that could build on, as Felix is saying, that could build on current continuities through Swarm and other people who are providing services in the community who could respond to that as circle changes.
Yeah, so I think we can talk a little bit more about this in the new section, Dor, about the perspective, because we are a little bit behind the schedule now. So let's move on to the next, topic, which is updates on challenge team, rapid funding challenge.
As we are a little bit after the over the time already, I try to make it short. So Stephen is already here for being secretary, taking notes. Yesterday, so in the last 3 weeks, we had in each after town hall meetings where the people who signed up for the challenge team, facilitator and secretary presented themselves. And the secretary and facilitator, both candidate groups who presented, came up with the same solution, that they will act as a team. Each team will have one person in our meetings. So Stephen for the secretaries and Nadim for the facilitators. They are our contact person. So we have one single person for each, and they have a whole team behind to build up the environment around the circle, so that we can focus, okay, what is happening here? And we have 2 teams which take care on building structure, awareness, infrastructure around the circle, also to bring it closer to the community, and also to coordinate between those. So they will work very close to come up with the agendas, facilitate the meetings, and keep track, documentate, report back to the community as well. And yep. The proposal, the facilitator team, they came up already with a proposal. The facilitator will do the same. The only thing which is not clear how this can be rewarded in the future, because when we have 7 people present in the circle and 14 or 7 person around the circle, we have to figure out somehow how we can reward those people. But I think it's a nice direction it's taking. People are engaged and willing to help, and yes. Some questions in this regard.
How many secretaries have volunteered?
4. 4 secretaries, 3 facilitators.
Yeah, I think as long as we're volunteers, there can be like an infinite amount of each type, and as long as they work together, it's fine. Next circle, when with budgeting constraints, there would need to be some, a decision how to, what's the best use of these funds? Do we just pay one person to do full time? is 10 people doing like 1 hour a week more efficient than one person just fully dedicated, you know? So this all is depends if we get funding or not. So I suggest we kind of wait for that and then figure it out.
So I was muted. I think this covers the facilitator and this covers the secretary, right? And the facilitator and the. What about the rapid funding challenge?
Yes, the rapid funding challenge. Well, there was a team who worked on it, and I think this I think will come especially in the open conversation later. Well, the challenge is submitted. It was extremely difficult to get any feedback from the Catalyst circle. So the draft, I think I added on the Telegram group on Monday. The only feedback I received was from Dor yesterday. And we saw that it has been quite difficult because from my point of view, yes, we have been aware that there's a problem, or not a problem there. We want to face the problem of maybe enable faster funding mechanisms for the community or for projects in the community. But it hasn't been really clear how exactly this should look like. So the challenge team went totally in one direction. And then we saw that it's not really in coordination with what the circle was expecting, I think. And the time was extremely short to adapt and to adjust everything. And yes, maybe Dor, you want to say something to this? Because I want to apologize that, well, the coordination and communication was extremely difficult there.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's like, I think this has been a particularly busy month for all of us with everything that's going on in the network. Just acknowledging that, you know, things happen and I'm happy it was pushed through, okay, even if not optimal. I think the main issue was that who was the problem owner for the rapid funding? Who came to the circle and says, okay, my group is having a problem with rapid funding? Felix?
Yep.
And anybody else? Like, wasn't Lauris also involved?
It was a little bit involved on miscellaneous category, but we at the end started to think if it should go towards that. But yeah, so we understood that's kind of different issues.
Yeah. So for me, I think the core problem is that you want the problem owner, like in case of we have a challenge that for a problem, we want the problem owner to be very either bring community members who are experiencing that problem, like you know, and like feel it, the problem, and like and then themselves like work together with the challenge team to just make sure that the original problem as sensed is being addressed by the solution. So that, like, I think that was for me, that's like the main lesson learned, like that because what was the issue, like what was my feedback, and I don't know if it was modified or not. We'll see. We'll read all about it in this scale, but that it was supposed to address a very targeted problem, which is rapid funding, right? Like there's like some projects, and then like the challenge itself was like basically like, how do we create more fair, more scalable, more I don't know, other criteria that was selected, and like one of items in the criteria was, you know, that it's rapid. So it's like there was like a risk of losing focus on, you know, addressing the problem and actually opening like a whole different set of problems about that I'm not even sure that they're real or not, but we don't know because we haven't talked about them. Like we haven't made sense of them. You know, and I think in this case, I would just say like, great pilot. I think a successful pilot where we in a short time, we launched the thing, we launched the challenge, and let's see if it gets voted and it has impact. And also, you know, I think having people that really hold the problem and be part of the team and be involved is really important. And their role is more like help the team connect to the problems on the ground, right? Like because this problem is not like it comes from the community, like we're just like a mirror of the community, and there's like specific people who need this. So like have a direct communication between those with the need and those who are forming the challenge can really inform the challenge.
Yep. So I think we can maybe discuss a little bit more about this. And I think there is another similar issue that we had in the last 2 weeks. Maybe we can discuss this during the open conversation part.
Yeah, so I suppose let's move to the next topic. Are we still covering this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if Felix is okay with this, we can.
Yeah. So on last town hall, actually before that, you know, it's already 1 week. So I presented the budgeting for in the breakout room. So not a lot of interest from people's side. So we try to squeeze out something from people or you know, from people who are there to get some information. But overall, you know, there's not much interest from you know from community side to discuss or review it. So basically what we did some changes there, and instead of putting some things in per hour, we just put some lump sums there, which we basically also calculated from hourly. But for budgeting, it's easier than it's like some kind of lump sums. So of course we didn't take into account that there'll be more people coming on board than you know, there are several secretaries, etc., etc. So I suppose for next time we have to figure out, you know, and change that. So and I think there was, regarding this project, there was a miscommunication in between us as well. So not sure how that happened, but basically, yeah. So I jumped on this project, did my part there, and so currently it's still hanging there. So I don't know. So how to proceed with that further? So it's presented now, and yeah. So I saw that the project was the placeholder for the project was, I received email that it was archived. So maybe somebody can jump in and give some more detail on that. Let me see, where was it?
Julie, you want? Or you keep it for the end of the meeting?
Sorry?
No, fine. That's all good. Yeah. Yeah, so there is yeah, I would want to frame it as the experiment failed and it's good to talk about it. So remember, I put in 2 placeholders actually for the onboarding and the decentralized decision making, which I by myself did not conclude. And so actually I have been withdrawn both, since it was, so I can blame myself to not have taken sufficient proactive action here, to whatever reason it was. At the end, I still see it being that we assign owners also a thing of the group. But nevertheless, I just wanted to let you know I didn't want to throw anything in there that's not been seen by you, and not you having the proper time to review and give comments. So I opted in to not submit it and rather look at a way that creates a baseline for future funding and just take little steps on developing it and be ready for the next time. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I suppose, there's some miscommunication and some, so which we have to work on this. So, okay, so that's maybe a good thing that something fails also. And I suppose we have to figure out, to have clear some kind of way to do things and who is in charge for a specific thing. But yeah, so basically I feel that, I failed in this as well. So that, didn't do like significant some kind of push after that, and just expected that, okay, the draft is there, the figures are there. So yeah, so we'll have to discuss this also internally, I suppose, and then how figure out what to do, and also how this will influence, of course, next CCV2. So budget with people.
Just a suggestion for the agenda. What do you think about changing the order here? So we have this open conversation now since we are talking about these topics, and then we go to these two ones here. Would that be good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so I think I was talking to Juliane today as well, and Felix about this. I think that at least my personal view is that this is an opportunity for us to learn from our mistakes, because I think it was like I think it was like a group failure in this situation, and it's a risk that we take when we are trying to move too fast and creating innovation. And I think the most important thing is to learn from the experiment. So I think we should try to identify what went wrong, and so we don't do the same mistake us or the next catalyst circle doesn't do the same mistake, or at least try to avoid it. But also I think that there are some alternatives for this. For example, for the fund of Catalyst Circle V2, we could submit a proposal in Fund 7 for, it's not ideal, but would be a retroactive payment for the Fund 7 members. I'm not sure if it's good because it's not going to be guaranteed for them. It's going to be a possibility, but it's I don't know, maybe it's at least an option.
So that was also an idea that, basically pay afterwards, and there's some kind of evaluation of the job done, and then you have a proposal, and it's community afterwards can vote on that. But yeah, okay, I suppose we can discuss this and figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the implications are very bad, right? We clearly understand that the second trend can't really operate based on volunteers, and it's been the volunteers that led to the fact that we didn't submit it in time. There was no accountability to ensure such a critical part gets done. I personally am not sure if I think that the circle is very viable without this. So I think that probably the right thing to do, okay, is to do use my special powers as IOG, like the fact that it is temporarily centralized, and we do want to create, and we are committed to create a safe and lively environment, is to modify the proposal, like resubmit the proposal out of band because it's so critical. It's not a viable thing. I don't think it's viable for the circle, at least like to do what it's supposed to do without any funding, and so in this case, I think it should be both like a lesson learned, and I think we should appoint someone new that, or maybe Lauris and Julie can actually kind of take responsibility now and like submit the proposal as a draft. You can just go to a scale, submit the finalized proposal, and I will ask out of band for the admin to accept it. And then the question is like, are you too willing to do it but do it today, or should we appoint someone else from the circle that is will take on that responsibility?
No, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, it would just be logic taking this on. So I'm in.
Let's have a
Okay,
call, Julian,
so-
after after the meeting and go over it. Do we have time?
Oh yeah, I mean, even I would jump off now, starting the draft, and just to be not sitting here at 2 p.m. 2 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, I would just get right into the document and try to conclude it. The only question is, since we had this in two different funds, I would place it in this decentralized decision making. And I would mainly guide me through the proper definition of the circle, together with the work describing what we already have done, and framing this sustained way of future circles receiving funding. So this would be just my mental outline regarding this. The budget we can sustain. And giving a future outlook, I can draw from what I experienced so far, and I think it's not reinventing the wheel.
Okay.
Okay, so I think in terms of operations, it's just like write out a draft. It doesn't need to be perfect. Send out to share in the circle. Let's have a quick review round today.
Yeah, I mean, I add everybody.
Then we can
edit.
Submit it out of band. And
Okay.
I think we'll just need to come back to the town hall and explain what happened and why are we doing it in such a way? Like, why are we breaking the rules? And that it's, but it's just like simply too big of a. I think it's too big of a deal to just live with the consequences of it.
Okay.
Just have the impression that we are trying to solve the problem without addressing what's really are the problems. I have nothing against what you say, but the real problems behind is not that we not arrived to submit a proposal. The real problem behind is that, also in conversation with you guys, Lauris, Julie, Dean, Victor, is the time and the expectation.
Yeah.
And that I just speak for myself, for example, no. It becomes a pressure, it becomes really a pressure. There's the challenge teams, the secretaries, the facilitators, the onboarding. I have a bunch of stuff to do already. There is a responsibility. There are expectations. And I don't think that it's sustainable to drive like this, to say, yeah, this we need to do, and this we need to do, and this we need to do. For sure, we have to do it, but we drive more and more in a dangerous situation where people lose their motivation. David is not really participating because he don't have time. Dean feels totally wrong on the place because he don't even know about Project Catalyst. Julie has had children, gym labs, everything, all the stuff. And we are not respecting this, I think. I want to just drive it a little bit to the human side of what is going on. And just what I think was never addressed. And this creates problems because it was never addressed and we never communicated these problems. And it's just becoming worse.
Thanks for speaking up, Felix. And yes, I mean, I have been thinking about that as well, and then came to the conclusion that might be an obvious one, but at the end is we are here because we have like the passion about it, and we have also insight, and we have the motivation, and just want to be here. This is no doubt. But I think it requires a certain set of self-criticism in terms of what is really possible for myself, where can I add the most value, under what conditions. And this needs to be confronted to what is the circle requiring. So I would rather invest 2 hours like in working hours during the week, like really ideating, bring things together in this working session. That's what I could contribute and what I feel, okay, even if I have little to say, but what I can say is adding value and makes an impact. And with other people may have other talents or other aspirations and also can do their thing. So I don't want to, I think we might lose impact when we try to fit into something and comply with something that we might need to think about to adjust to the system, how it works. And then it comes back to Dor, what you said. Is it maybe one person paid full time, having a lot of responsibility and spinning off from there, or have like 10 or 20 people spinning up, have a very diverse team with different views, but also attributing some value. So it comes down to what the circle really needs to have the best impact possible. And I think we are experiencing these challenges now. And I think we should ask ourselves, what is the mode we think is the best for the circle? Because at the end, it's not about me having all this stuff. It's about we are serving the community. We are serving the problems of Catalyst. We are there for that. So, yeah.
Also, I hope nobody gets me wrong. I don't want to jump in here and say, yeah, it's all shit and it's critic. Not at all. It's just really, it's just the experience by passing through the process.
Yeah.
I suppose also it will be, for next Catalyst Circle, it will be clearer, what's expected from them. So that's as well, and definitely if those hours will be paid for them, I suppose this also gives additional, for them some kind of commitment and also, expectations and so on. So yeah, we are still trying to adjust and understand what's really, required from us and learning, and hopefully, next Catalyst Circle will do it more successfully than we, even though that we are already doing, I think, a lot of things. But yeah, I think in this case, it was a little bit about more miscommunication or just, missing communication. But yeah, so hopefully lesson learned and we can move faster and figure out, how to do our job better, taking in account how much time we have.
Yeah, Dean.
I just so I met with Nori from the search committee this past week, and they're looking at the next search committee to I guess to help facilitate who they're going to find as a replacement for me. And he said, you know, he asked me if I can just help him, I guess, point him in the right direction for the next circle. And I told him that, you know, the next person should have a lot of experience with idea scale, a lot of experience with Catalyst. They should be able to have about 10 to 20 hours that they can dedicate to this circle every single week. So giving him that type of like, I guess, search criteria for the next ADA holder representative is going to assist them, so there's I guess better preparation and better like the person can actually contribute a lot more for the second iteration. So I'm thinking maybe if I'm not sure how every group decided or voted to like, you know, the process, but maybe if there can be almost like a prerequisite or a requirement that needs to be in order just for you to be considered to join the circle moving forward.
Well, and this depends also what we think could be the most value, because you're going to leave out certain people. Like, people have full-time jobs, probably, I don't know, or even beyond that, it's not going to be possible. But okay, I mean, if this then is the criteria, or we create some, yeah, no, I'm
just thinking of like the best way for the circle to be
yes.
run optimally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we are figuring out now how much time it takes to participate in circle. We didn't know this before. For example, we only knew that we would have like 2 hours of meeting every 2 weeks, but actually we work much more than that to come up with all the actions or the coordination stuff. So I think this is also a lesson learned, because also I think we should be safe after the next Catalyst Circle meeting. We should start announcing that people should think about being candidates for the next circle, so we don't have to rush with anything. And maybe for the next meeting, we can write down what are the things, that the time that we are spending here approximately, and yeah, what kind of knowledge you think you need to have to participate and bring value to the Catalyst Circle, this kind of thing. So maybe this can help future candidates somehow.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we're looking at, you know, funding and making sure people are paid, then we should treat it like a job, and we should have, you know, job requirements that you need to be able to meet in order to have this position.
Yeah, and the same rules for all the other roles, right? Secretary, facilitator. Yeah.
And no, Lauris, do you want to say something?
I think no, we can discuss this afterwards as well. So some ideas and etc. How we're doing in other organizations, you know, where we have like people who are unpaid, and there's anyway, you know, somebody, you know, like a CEO who is paid, and basically he's managing and checking, and that's his full-time job. So there's always one person who is keeping you know, everything in order and checking that everything is there, and yeah, and at the same time, you know, managing that, basically facilitating it, etc. So it's like in this case it could be, you know, facilitator who is checking also that, so everything is clear, etc. So because it is a full-time job in the future that somebody will be organizing everything there, but we will get to that.
Yeah. So just to, you know, I think that sometimes, you know, gifts come in strange packages. Okay, and I think this experience is it's actually a gift because, at least for me, my perspective is that, like, you know, as a first iteration, I think we're doing a really amazing work, and the whole goal was to learn. It was like sometimes to fail and to learn, you know, and to improve, and we're doing it, and I think that this just like brings home and maybe sharpens some of our insights, right, about how the next circle, can look and operate. I think that the next stage is really to capture the lessons learned, and then really make sure that it's implemented towards the next circle. So I think that is critical, that, you know, probably maybe we should dedicate some, maybe prepare a list of recommendations, and probably dedicate some time to basically like review them and execute them for the next circle meeting as a point, and like I would recommend, you know, so like, you know, ideally in this point we would do like a full-on retrospective, right, about what happened, what are the causes, what are the solutions. Maybe one thing we can do, because of lack of time, like I don't think we should do it right now, but I do think that, like, now that like everybody kind of shared a bit their perspective, maybe we can have just a small round where anybody can just give a shot of like articulate. Let's have a shared, you know, like first of all, I think like we need to have a kind of a shared agreement on like what happened. Okay, that we'll like see what happened, and then maybe each of us can propose how can it be improved, okay, for the next iteration. And that's great, you know. I think that really, I think we're gonna, you know, we're gonna be okay. You know, we're gonna make this proposal happen. We're gonna make sure that this next circle have the right conditions to prosper, okay, and that people have enough time. But let's just continue to set it up. So I mean, I guess my take, at least what I'm understanding from this discussion, is that we had, you know, I think for me the description is like under pressures of time, uncertainty. You know, there was like a small team in the circle that was responsible to submit to drive a proposal, and for I think for communication issues it didn't happen. Okay, so this is my phrasing of like what happened. Is that like, is everybody first of all like agree that this is the issue that is like launching this discussion?
I would probably extend it to not only lacking of communication, but also lacking of the groups will make this proposal happen, and like from a proper motivation. I mean,
is it the group or? I mean, I felt very motivated about it.
Yeah, but I haven't had clearness about that I was responsible to conclude the proposal. Maybe that's then a lack of communication from right from the start. I could admit that. So if it comes down to that and everybody agrees upon that, then it is what it is.
Okay, so you're saying like not only there was a miscommunication, but there was also like the assignment of the responsibility was not clear.
I believe. but I would want to hear everybody else. So, or not.
Yeah, I think I agree. Maybe we can add, for example, another session at the end when we review all the actions that we agreed during this meeting and who is responsible for each one of them. I don't know if this brings some more clarity about topics, because for example, we've agreed about some stuff to do for the next until next week, for example, till the next meeting actually, but we are not taking notes. I mean, Stephen is taking notes. I'm going to read them later and see if the actions are covered there. But these kind of information, yeah, I mean, if we didn't have Stephen here, it wouldn't be so clear and so trackable as well for us in I don't know, tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my suggestion is like, again, it's like depending on like time, but that either we work with this like kind of shared understanding of the issue and then like basically suggest how can it be improved for next time, and then just like turn it into action points, okay, to make sure that this happens for the next circle. So we can either do it like at the end of this meeting, or if we don't have time, we can do it next week. Sorry, in the next circle meeting, and bring it up. I just think that like, people give here like really juicy insights, right? Like really, really awesome improvement proposals that we should just go ahead and implement.
Based on your suggestion, or maybe should we like each one of us should think about this and write something to share with the group during the next circle meeting, like our perspectives, how do we feel about the circle, what should be improved, and this kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's like it's like also I want it to be relatively focused, you know, not too spread out, because I think there's like a lot, you know, we can solve a lot of things, right? But it's like I would suggest, like, given that problem statement, you know, that we just talked about, if there was one thing that can be improved that you could suggest, what would it be? One concrete thing, not like abstract thing, a concrete thing. What would it be? Does it mean like a better definition of the role, having the position paid, having a secretary, like what John proposed, it was great, like having a secretary track like deliverables and like alert if there's like, you know, there's a risk. All that's, you know, like, let's do that. I mean, honestly, we don't even have to wait to the next meeting. We can just like do it over the Telegram channel and just like have basically Stephen capture it in a document, and then we can just like maybe in the next meeting we can just like prioritize which actions are we taking first.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I mean, it's, you know, everybody's, you know, everything's okay. You know, like things happen. Actually, it was inevitable that something would happen because we're just getting started.
Yeah. After all, a catalyst is an innovation fund. It's a fail fast mechanism.
Things might break.
Things may break.
So just to have one question more. So we would push the proposal, even though we would like use the superpower of doors. For now, what I'm just concerned about what how this could perceived from the community in terms of using the superpower and everybody else just following the proper process. I know it's crucial, but nevertheless, we're expecting everybody else to comply.
Can't agree with this. It would, for me personally, it would feel really weird to do this. Just because I want to appreciate the trust from the community, and appreciating the trust should not mean that you create situations where you have a total other freedom of acting than the community. We failed, and we failed. And I think it's quite important also to accept that we failed. And to say, okay, but this doesn't say that we cannot come up already with a pre-designed proposal for Catalyst Circle number 2. And I don't even have to think about it, I just have to submit it. And therefore, we still have enough time. And I'm totally agree, yes, okay, so they will not be paid neither. But I think it's important to say, you failed? Okay, you failed. And Joker Dor, it's amazing.
Yeah, there's a trade-off. I mean, I think there's a, we should weigh out the two sides, right? Like on one part, every time, there's like some kind of special action that is needed that goes beyond, it's kind of like, it becomes like a special thing that we need to explain. And if we do it too much repetitively, and in ways that doesn't have a good rationale behind it, or that the community understands that the intentions behind it are misaligned, right, with the larger picture, then we take a hit. We lose our legitimacy. Okay, or I can lose my legitimacy too, right? Like, or IOG can lose its legitimacy if it starts to do like one-off things. But on the other hand, what's the intention behind this? The intention is to decentralize. The intention is actually to take power, move control and power to the community, to allow it to govern itself here, and there's simply, I think that, looking at the big picture, okay, looking at the fact that, during this next months to a year, the network is going to be, the governance is going to be decentralized. And we want to create the best conditions, the best foundations for that. And, to do that, we need legitimate sources of power that come from the community. And to get that, the community needs to be independently funded. And and not depend on volunteerism. So putting these two things together, I think that the Catalyst experiment, we have a few privileges that we can exercise if they have a good rationale behind them, and it should be something very rare, but I think this time we should make an exception. If you have any disagreement, if you think the final outcome would be very different, then let's talk about it more. And I can, maybe you're right, but I mean, I want to hear the arguments about what's the knowing this was just a human error, basically. It's not there wasn't like any bad intention behind it. Sometimes there's human error, like sometimes even the Catalyst system is a human errors, sometimes like I made, because of the way the system is, like I made a few mistakes, like the challenge amounts for Fund 6, like for 2 challenges, the amounts were wrong just because of a human error. So should we just say like, we should just persist them just because of, it's a trade-off. There's no pure answer here.
Question is, maybe is it possible that for next Catalyst Circle there is another option where to get funds and still don't break the rules?
Who would pay for it? Who is going to foot the bill?
That's a good question.
Crowdfunding.
And why should why should the circle work for anybody else but the Cardano community? They should be paid and work for IOG? Should be paid work for some SPO donators? I don't, that doesn't seem right.
I don't like the trade-off. that's maybe why I'm thinking. Julian, you have, I see, raised hand.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just thinking about looking forward to a solution. So what if this pushes us to a base, actually an additional baseline and a responsibility to the future circle is ensuring that the proposal pipeline for the existence of the Catalyst Circle is up to date and submittable the day they hand over to the new circle. Because then actually the managing of funds of a proper circle also is in the hand of the circle that's actually executing. Meaning that I mean, if we put in now something for some group come further on, it is me or it is some one of us being involved in terms of holding the aider and being responsible to transfer to another group. Like, don't get me wrong, but wouldn't it be more natural to the proper group, like, I mean, and this is the retrospective payment at the end, managing its own funds in a way and assessing, like having a process of assessing itself. So I'm looking just for solutions. It could be something that we don't need to like take the joker now, be in line, but we also ensure a process that complying with this responsibility to ensure that, and even looking at the proposal definition and evolving with each fund, with each circle, that this is a document that you gonna get the next circle round ready to go, and they can make their adjustments as they want. They place it in and they're secured. And they receive the funding afterwards. But then they also would be in charge to keep evolving the proposal for the next fund, for the next circle cohort.
Dor wants to say something.
I'm like, would you take a job if I tell you like, okay, you can work for me and, you work for me for 6 months or 3 months or 6 months. And after that, maybe I'll pay you. I'll make a proposal for someone else to decide and they might fund you after.
Well,
it's not going to work.
Okay, so we are at
fair.
risk. Actually, yeah. Okay, so we are at risk anyway because we don't know if we get funded. Look at this. I mean, we're now pushing a proposal, taking the joker, not even having time to do it like properly. Yeah.
Well,
if we are missing, no, I'm just saying, if we are missing out and we do not get funded, what's then? So circle won't never exist. That pushes the next question.
Is not, but
that pushes the next
Julie,
question.
Julie, the next circle, the voting results will be in, and they will have certainty if they're getting funded or not. If we submit it now.
So, but yeah, exactly.
Like
they would have it or not. So then.
So just maybe let's come back a little bit, and I think the question is mainly just, okay, hey, should we play a little bit out of the game and submit the proposal yet? And when we make this decision, we should be agree with this, everyone. And if not, okay, then this is a statement and it means we have enough time to figure out a solution. I think to come up directly with the solution, now what happens if we come in a quite difficult situation? Because yes, maybe Dor knows stuff we don't know, and IOG is voting with the 15% what they hold or whatnot, or something like this. But don't let's go too much into hypothesis and speculation. And so I think just David, what do you think, for example?
It's an interesting conversation in general because yeah, we don't necessarily seem to have a consensus on it. And I don't know how we get consensus on it. Open to suggestions.
I mean, yeah, I guess my position is that the trade-off, okay, between the implications of like posting a proposal a few hours after the deadline, okay, if you put it, that's the on one hand, versus like because of a human mistake for good intentions, like the outcomes of that are going to be, I think, very minor. And I think the outcomes of leaving the circle unfunded, I think, would be that are going to be serious long-term repercussions. So, and I hope that I can convince people, like I hope people here can take the kind of responsibility, right, to see the bigger picture, to see where we're headed, and understand it. And if this, you know, and if you're not convinced, then fine. Maybe, you know, that's actually that's fine. Maybe we'll you know, there's not much more than I can do, you know, but to offer this this opportunity. It's not on you, it's not on the circle members, it's on IOG, right? Because we're doing the act, not you guys. But if you condone this action, yeah, we won't do it. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think just before you say something, we just used all the buffer time at the end. So if we want to cover all the topics, we should move on. But I also understand that this is a very important topic for us to discuss. So what do you think? Should we maybe don't do some of these topics here ahead, like talk about retrospective? I mean, we need to choose a problem statement for the next 2 weeks. Maybe we try to do this quicker and come back to this discussion. Any suggestions? Dean?
Well, I just wanted to add to what, I mean, I agree with Dor. I mean, I feel like this, it's almost like a, it's going to be a chain reaction of things if we don't decide on doing this now. I mean, just like what we talked about earlier, where we were saying, you know, recruiting for the next round, it's going to be affected by this. If we don't decide to, I guess, push this through at this time. And then on the flip side of it, my question was going to be, does it necessarily have to, do we have to leave it to the next circle to do it, or can we agree to do this for the next fund with the same people to make sure that it gets done. Not depending on the next circle to put it in Fund 7, but us put it in Fund 7 if we decide that we're not going to do it this time.
Okay, maybe I think we will not come to a decision exactly right now. And what would be the deadline from the timing to make the decision if the proposal be submitted or not?
You should probably submit it latest tomorrow, and we should give enough time for a quick draft review for the circle.
Okay, I'm just checking. So I would do it in a Google, because I can't even submit a proposal here, obviously, I think, right? So we work on the Google Doc and then get it in if everybody agrees. Yeah.
Yeah, you can submit it as a draft proposal, and then in a Discal, and then an admin can pick it up. But it's fine. You can write it down there. You can write down the rubrics in a Google Doc.
Yeah.
And I can ask an administrator to submit it.
Okay, so yeah, for sake of track changes might be even the better solution. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can move on to the next topic. So agree?
Wait, so now I didn't see any decision, or I mean, what does any like? I just need to. Can we just have a quick survey of like what is each individual position about this? Just so like if we can understand what's like the you know, like what are people actually saying? Because you know, and
yeah, maybe just who, I don't know, who agrees with one side raises their hand here, something like that. Okay, so let's try this. Who is in favor of submitting the proposal now after the deadline? Please raise your hand.
I mean, I just want to say something.
Me too.
Yeah.
I see, I understand the trade-off, what Dor just said, and sometimes it's not black and white, and the impact on it I can see as well. Nevertheless, I'm not fully in, but I will be in if the majority is in. Yeah.
For me, it was, yeah.
No,
Okay.
I was just going to say that if
yeah, the
I
question
think
was,
it's not just something that came from IOG, but for example, it's from Catalyst Circle. If we agree that as a group that it makes sense, then it's not like a centralized, because we are representatives of our groups. And I understand that this is like out of the rules, but it's not sure if it's yeah, as Dor mentioned, the trade-off is this situation. Lauris.
yeah, so I'm just thinking, you know, which will have a lot of from some kind of implication, you know, afterwards. So I never like special rules, but at the same time, you understand that this is crucial for you know, for the next Catalyst Circle. And if we can't find, and we are sure that, there's no way how to find the, the budget, I think was around 10K, in other ways, then yeah, so then of course, I understand it's very important, and we have to have this budget some. But at the same time, we have to understand that even though, if we do this, we are not sure that, there's no guarantee that it will be voted in.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And still there's a risk not get funded. So this is a question, and maybe it's another discussion, but if we see that this part is so crucial, why don't we have a more sustainable and shared model to reward the people who are going to do the job than relying in these first cohort circles on the catalyst?
My question was like, maybe in the future it should be something like CA, so there's like some kind of budget which goes, to catalyst circle as well. But that's
for example, yeah.
Well, you guys haven't proven yourself to do that. I mean, it's like that's the whole point. We're doing a pilot. We're trying to legitimize what we're doing, and we're coming to the community and say, hey, look at the stuff we've done. We can do much more, but we need your consent. Why are we so afraid to put ourselves in that place?
Could we tie something to it? Like say, okay, you know what, if we do it this time, we also agree that we also vote to agree that this doesn't ever happen again. That will satisfy some of the concerns that some of the people in the circle might have. So tie them both together.
That's, that's opens another, kind of worms, like, as I said, exception, and then, so far everyone was clear that there are no exceptions. And so it just like, that's the little bit tricky part.
I think for now,
there will be
also,
up the discussions,
but,
that, okay, yeah.
I think also for now, Victor has been agreed, Dor has been agreed, Lauris has been agreed, I've been agreed. Julia said she will go with the majority. So Julie, is it okay for you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Cool, Dean. Can you live with this decision? Just to submit just a proposal, we will figure
I'm
out.
100% on board. Yeah.
Okay, cool. David, any problems for you?
Not that haven't already been discussed. My hand was up, but my camera is off.
Okay, cool. So we will, Lauris, Julie will come up with a draft. We will meet directly after the meeting here, that we can send it out already this evening, noon, to everybody for short feedback, that it can be latest submitted tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on it already. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Good.
Perfect. So nice.
Lauris, I connect with you afterwards.
Yes, so
And
yeah, Felix is coming as well, so we'll set up it.
Oh, good.
yeah, let's let's be transparent about it. Come to the next town hall. Let's talk about it transparently, openly. We talk about our hesitations. We talk that it was a hard trade-off. We're still early. We're still experimenting. Okay, like even in Cardano itself, like who's doing the hard forks and the updates? Like it's centralized, right? In challenges up until now, it was just like IOG deciding the challenge amounts, right? We have to give the system a chance to succeed, and I'm not sure if I don't think like it was never a purist approach, and it was a transitional approach in building the right foundations, and I feel 100% behind this decision, and I'm sure the community would understand.
We trust you as well.
Yep.
Question: if there is blowback from the community, how do we want to handle it?
With a joker.
No, if people come, no, I mean, if people are, you know, find it as a gross like violation of trust and it's like a huge deal, then we'll not follow through with it. You know, we'll withdraw a proposal. Like we're not gonna.
Good.
I'm not willing to do anything that's like against, you know, that is like against what the community actually wants. Like I think for me it's really clear that what they want is they want decentralized governance. They want to have an independently sourced governing group, you know, that can be operational and effective. Like I don't think they want that it won't be fun, you know, that it won't have a chance.
I definitely want to see this circle succeed for sure.
Yeah, and it comes down to the intention, and that gives me that really makes me feel very calm. And I'm convinced everybody of us has those intentions. So ethically, yeah, it feels good at the end, even though we're taking a joker.
I think that's a point that hadn't been raised before, right? That this is in no way guaranteed that it's going to come through anyway, and it can be withdrawn if there is significant resistance. So I think that settles a few of the nerves, to use Julie's point.
So we still have 6 minutes left today.
Yeah, and
Want to put some music on?
Yeah, that's important. But yeah.
6 minutes.
Don't have the budget for copyrights, you know, so let's not do that.
True.
So we still have 2 topics. First one is the retrospective week that Dor asked for 5 minutes to talk about, and then we still have to choose another problem statement to focus on for the next 2 weeks to the next circle meeting. So Dor, do you think you can do this in 2 minutes?
I think we can just talk about it a different time, less than high priority, not high priority.
Okay. So then next one is for us to choose the next problem statement to be prioritized the next period until the next circle meeting. Share the link to the trail board. So yeah, I think the best choice would be there is someone already working on in any of these problems here. Maybe just pick them up and communicate. Otherwise, we can just choose one here.
I guess I think the question is like who has a, you know, his like wants to bring, you know, personally feels like a sense of ownership, a capacity, and wanting to promote, you know, one of these problems, like rather than, you know, I think it's more about like, you know, who has capacity to drive one rather than like, you know, which one should be the priority.
If I can make a suggestion here, I would say, Dean, what do you think about that problem statement that you had about the concern of possible scams by ADA holders? I think it's something that we could work on for the next 2 weeks.
The one that was in the raw problems. We're looking at the problem backlog right now. That column.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm on board for that. I can add it back. I think when we discussed, we talked about it the other day, I let you know that I removed it because it seemed like there was already a strong focus on it with Charles's video, and then Fund 6. I think there's some people working on the problem as well. But if we feel that it's still something that we can work on, then absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation maybe to the CA's problem statement that we raised, that IOG already had a solution almost ready, and we just used it and improved a bit and presented, and now we're testing. Maybe we can already use the information and what's being done, proposals that are out there, just to communicate to the voters and data holders that there's something being done in this regard, at least. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. Just let me know what I guess is needed for me, and then I'll start working on it.
Yeah, so I will write the problem statement. Anyone else has any other comments? Do you agree? Do you have any other suggestions?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to share the feedback form here. If you can take 1 minute to answer it. And I'm going to write this into this problem here, then place it in row problems, and work with Dean. I can work with you, Dean, for the next 2 weeks about this. Yeah, I think that's all for today.
Okay, yeah, I'll find what I wrote down, and I'll add it back to the Trello board in a little bit.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah. One last to go.
Yeah, I need to go too. All right, well, that was an interesting meeting.
Circle becomes human.
What? I mean, we're just in this like a messy humans,
recording, yes.
and I think also I don't know. Speaking on my behalf, I think that it's like such a busy time. Like, I can't imagine us being like extremely productive this week, just on account of like all the amount of work that everybody has to do, and like I think the really important thing is like let's set up winning conditions. Let's set up the next circle to be more successful. That will be our legacy, and we're doing it. So don't sweat it. All right, bye.
Thanks everyone.
Okay, guys.